Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we are diving into something that's honestly both fascinating and a little bit disturbing. We're going to completely unpack the mechanics of a modern phenomenon, exactly how a single public event instantly spawns complex, real-world digital conspiracies. We're going to look at how the internet reacts in real time, how the media feeds the fire, and ultimately, the profound human cost of replacing facts with fiction. Okay, let's dive right into this and look at our roadmap. First, anatomy of a conspiracy. Second, media, truth, and feelings. Third, the real-world impact. And finally, a broader national crisis. Starting with Section 1, Anatomy of a Conspiracy. How an event morphs into a myth. To really grasp how these theories explode out of nowhere, we first have to look at the chaotic, immediate timeline right after a high-profile incident happens. And the turnaround here is just staggeringly fast. We're talking within 60 seconds of an event taking place. Before any actual facts are even established, the word staged will frequently become the #1 trend on X. It's wild, but the internet collectively decides an event is a hoax before the dust is even settled, completely void of evidence. And that sets the stage for days of baseless assumptions. The source highlights the core issue with these rapid-fire theories with this quote: "Conspiratorial worldviews are disgusting. They are claiming things that are evidence-free about other people." It isn't just that the theories are wrong, right? It's that they immediately assign evil intent and accuse real, actual people of being part of some malicious, hidden cabal without a single shred of proof. And we've seen this play out time and time again. The source mentions specific examples, like the incident in Butler, the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, and even the natural grief reactions of victims' family members. All of these have been swept up in this web of denial. It seems like no matter the event, the default digital reaction right now is just to assume a massive cover-up. All right, moving to Section 2, Media, Truth, and Feelings, the permission structure. So how does the media handle all this instant speculation? Well, as the source argues, often they don't just react to it, they inadvertently justify and supercharge it. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast the source sets up. On one side, you have what the media's true duty should be, speaking strictly on behalf of objective truth, completely regardless of political alignment. But on the other side, you have what modern commentators are increasingly doing, which is speaking on behalf of how their audience feels. They're prioritizing a shared sense of victimization over actual, hard evidence. The mandate here really should be simple. The source states, "It's our obligation to tell you the truth. That is our most important obligation, not to justify your feelings." Objective truth absolutely must supersede subjective emotions. If the media abandons the truth just to coddle an audience's paranoia, the whole public information system just completely breaks down. To get a sense of how this plays out in commentary, take Cenk Uygur's perspective. He suggests that the public's rush to claim an event is staged is just a natural result of historical government lies. He says, "We've lost all faith in our government. We don't trust anything anymore." Rightly so. It's essentially the argument that systemic deception in the past grants us a sort of license to doubt everything in the present. But the source offers a pretty sharp rebuttal to that exact logic. By telling the public they are right to speculate without evidence, this kind of commentary creates a very dangerous permission structure. And noticeably absent from Uygur's take is any clear, definitive statement that the event in question wasn't actually staged. It just substitutes a convenient narrative for actual facts. We see a really similar rationale presented by commentator Ana Navarro. She argues that skepticism is fueled by a political figure's own behavior, noting that people jump to conclusions because he lies constantly, daily, and pathologically. So once again, this uses a person's past behavior to justify evidence-free conspiracy theories about a present-day emergency. Now, you might have noticed we've used the term permission structure a couple of times, so let's quickly define what that actually means. A permission structure is a psychological framework that allows individuals to justify behaviors or beliefs they might otherwise reject. In this context, when commentators say, "Hey, it makes sense why you'd think this is faked," they are giving their audience psychological permission to indulge in baseless paranoia. They're essentially saying your conspiracy theories are valid because you happen to hate the right person. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the source sees this as a dangerous two-step degradation of public discourse. Step 1 is abandoning objective facts for a comfortable narrative. And step 2 is the inevitable slide from that narrative directly into conspiracism. Because once facts no longer matter, literally any wild theory that fits the vibe gets accepted as reality. Which brings us to Section 3, the real-world impact, the cost of a narrative. So the crucial point is that this isn't just some abstract debate about media ethics. This digital speculation has a profound physical toll on real, innocent people. Let's look at the deeply tragic case of Erica Kirk to ground this. She's a widow whose husband was previously shot to death right in front of her. Later on, while she was attending another public event, gunfire broke out in the background. And, completely understandably, she had a severe traumatic reaction in that terrifying moment. But how did an internet that was already primed by a staged narrative react to her visible trauma? Well, a single social media post actually mocked her grief, callously joking that she was experiencing assassination CPTSD. And that single cruel post received 42,000 likes. And it gets even more staggering. That very same post was viewed almost 1 million times. Just let that sink in for a second. 1 million views, all directed at mocking a widow's genuine terror, simply because her trauma didn't align with the internet's preferred conspiracy theory. The details of this harassment are honestly chilling. We're talking about literally thousands of comments claiming she was crying fake. People meticulously scrutinized the video, arguing that the specific direction she looked meant something sinister was afoot. The internet completely twisted a widow's genuine grief into a fictional plot point, basically prioritizing their manufactured narrative over basic human empathy. This leads us to our final section, Section 4, a broader national crisis, the brain rot of a generation. Because when you multiply the tragedy of Erica Kirk by millions of digital interactions every single day, you don't just have an internet problem anymore. You have a massive societal one. The source paints a pretty bleak picture of our collective mental state after constant exposure to these feedback loops, stating, "We have brain-rotted a large segment of an entire generation of the American public." It's a really powerful indictment of how our basic ability to discern truth from fiction has been fundamentally degraded by these online echo chambers. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate tragic sequence we're looking at here. It starts when a society abandons truth for feelings. That fertile ground then promotes staged conspiracies, which inevitably leads to the harassment of innocent victims. And finally, we act surprised when this relentless, churning cycle of paranoia and dehumanization spills over into actual physical political violence. Which leaves us with a really profound diagnosis from the text: a soul sickness born out of this conspiratorial mindset. So I want to leave you with this to ponder. When facts are entirely replaced by narrative, and our digital worlds are built on immediate, evidence-free speculation, how does a society even begin to cure its soul sickness? It is a heavy question for sure, but it's one we desperately need to figure out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.